Hi, I'm Shaul. In the following video I'm going to discuss photo technique. This is really a funny subject. Taking a photo can be as simple as pressing a button. But then there were books and books written about how to take a photo, a proper photo, a good photo. And most of this lengthy discussion is dedicated to detail, how to minimize the loss of detail in the process of transferring the scene into a two-dimensional photograph. So I'm going to be very concise and make the whole issue of photo technique really simple. There are a lot of technical reasons for why details should be lost. First one is lack of critical focus, where the failure to set the right focus distance makes things blurry around the subject of the image. Second one is low signal to noise ratio. In bad light conditions, there is an artificial increase of gain in the camera. The gain is increased, but so is noise. So noise starts getting visible. Third reason for loss of detail has to do with the dynamic range, where there's a large variation in lighting of the scene, with very bright highlights and very poorly lit shadows. The camera's sensor cannot contain all this exposure range, and the very bright highlights or very deep shadows are blocked. They do not contain any meaningful detail, any detail at all. Fourth reason for loss of detail has to do with optical limitations, like field curvature, where focus distance in the center of the image does not match focus distance at the edges of the image. And then you have to decide where exactly you want to focus, mainly in when you use wide apertures. Other optical limitations are aberrations, chromatic aberrations, spherical aberrations that reduce the resolving power of the lens. However, when the light is sufficient, it is relatively easy to overcome all those limitations, or most of them anyway. Just use the base ISO of your camera. Usually it's between 64 and 160. That will ensure maximum dynamic range and minimum noise. Then use a smallish aperture to make sure the depth of field is long enough and most of the scene is in good focus, in good sharpness. Something like f8 to f11 is ideal for that. Use a shutter speed that will enable freezing the motion in the scene to ensure there is minimum motion blur. Those three simple measures will ensure that the vast majority of detail in the scene is conveyed to the photograph. Then, of course, in post-exposure processing, it's possible to level the lighting, correct white balance, and reach a result that is reasonably similar to what you saw with your eyes during exposure. Metering is also an issue. If you want to take a correct exposure, you have to make sure that the range of brightness falls away from the edges of the histogram. So all cameras these days offer a live histogram where you can see the exposure value during exposure and make sure that the exposure is correct. Of course, light conditions are not always supportive of using these camera settings, and when light falls off, you have to make some decisions. So if there is not much motion in the scene, if the image is static, if it's a landscape or an architectural landscape or just some still life, what you can do is bracketing. Just take a series of photos at different exposures and then blend them later, after exposure, to get a good amount of detail in all the brightness range of the scene. if you can control the space, you should really consider using flash. That will help you even out the brightness in the scene and freeze any motion using the minimum or base ISO value. And the flash itself helps freeze the motion because it's a very short burst of light, irrespective of the synchronization time. Things get more nasty when you have motion in the scene and you do not have control over the lighting. In such situations, when the light is low, you really have to decide which detail you will give up on, which detail will be lost in the photograph. So you can either open up the aperture, which will give you a blurry image in most of the areas of the photograph. It will help you isolate the subject, but then you will lose a lot of the detail in the environment or in the setting. You can increase ISO, which means you will lower your dynamic range, and some noise will be obviously visible in the image. Or you can increase the exposure time. So some motion blur will be evident in the photograph. You can use either of those or a combination of all of them. You might also lose detail in highlights or in very deep shadows, but those areas are usually not very important for the viewer to appreciate the image. And that is really all you need to know about photo technique. Crash course that took maybe 15 minutes. There's nothing more to know, really. But then the question is, do you really need all this detail? Do you really need the photograph to contain every little detail that you see, or even detail that you don't see in the scene? This limits the intent of the photograph to be only descriptive. There is no creativity in it if this is what you do. It's just a simple reproduction of the scene. And to me, it's not very interesting. You see, photography is a language. It's like in every other language, you can use it to write stories or poetry or shopping lists. And the endless applications to photography. I like to divide the intent of photography into three categories. The first one is descriptive, describing the scene or conveying everything that is in the scene in a single photograph. And this application is restricting because, as I said, there is nothing, there's no room really for the photographer's perception or creativity. You just copy what you see. The second category of intent is creative, which means you can design the scene to in any way you like, and then just take a photo of it, whether it's real or all fictional, which is fine. This is a lot of what is done in commercial photography or in art photography. The third category is somewhere in between. I call it authoritative. And in that type of photography, the purpose of the photograph is to convey the emotions or the unique point of view of the photographer, but then using the real world as subject matter. This is what I like to do. A lot of what we call documentary photography has this intent in mind. Now, where does authoritative photography meet camera technique? Well, this is a complicated question because, as I said before, the intent of the photograph is to convey not only the subject matter, but also some more elusive aspects, like the state of mind of the photographer, some emotion, some transcendental qualities. I really work according to a set of priorities. The first issue is the shutter speed, because I don't want to freeze the scene, especially not when I take photographs of people in their environment. I want to convey life. So some motion blur is not only acceptable, it's also desirable. So I would choose a shutter speed of around 80th to 50th of a second. It depends on the scene itself, of course, on the situation, on the choreography of the subjects in my scene. Then I look at aperture. Of course, I would like to put most of the scene in sharp focus, but given the light conditions I usually shoot in, this is impossible. So I use autofocus to compensate for my poor eyesight. Whatever I can do to increase the depth of field, I would do, like using wider lenses or having some distance between me as a photographer and the main subject of the image. It is far from perfect. Then for ISO, I let the camera choose a value that will allow for the shutter speed I need. I don't care much about dynamic range because I don't need details in the black shadows or in the very light areas of the photo.